Hello, it's Sammy here, and here with Xavier. First of all, he is a graduate from United Living, so let's just hear some things about you.
My name's Xavier. I joined United Living in October, the end of October, and I graduated in July from the University of Greenwich. I did business with human resource management, and I joined the United Living graduate scheme, which was predominantly placed in people services. Some of my background, I've always loved business. I always knew I wanted to go into business, but not necessarily construction. In fact, I had very little exposure to construction, but now I'm working within it. I can't think of a better industry for me to start in and hopefully maintain my career within the construction industry. I think it's I've become quite passionate about it.
And construction, you said, is something you couldn't really see yourself going into at first. What made you go into it? Because there'll be some people, wondering what career they want to do or want to delve into. So what made you want to delve into construction?
I had a little bit of exposure. My dad is a painter and decorator, so I've been on some construction sites, and I got on quite well with a lot of his colleagues, and I could picture myself in that kind of environment. Maybe not on construction site as much, but the kind of people it attracts. And I think when I saw United Living, I saw it as a real challenge. Human resources, naturally, or people services as we call it here, is quite a progressive industry, all about equality, diversity, inclusion, about being more flexible, a lot about change. And I think construction being quite an archaic industry and perhaps, I wouldn't say backwards, but compared to some other more progressive industries like fintech, for example, I thought it'd represent a real challenge for me and an opportunity to placement market on the company and the industry, and I thought it seemed like an exciting challenge at the time.
Did you have any prior misconceptions about construction? Because that is something that you said it was quite an archaic industry. So what were the prior misconceptions about the industry?
Yeah, I had loads of misconceptions. I thought all construction people would be wearing hard hats. Yeah. I thought it would be on site, and I thought people would be happy with how traditional and old-fashioned the industry was. But actually, what I've noticed being here is that right from the top with Anne, the People Services Director, it's about accepting where we are, but also wanting to change for the better. And I think generally everybody at the company wants to be a part of a changing organisation, which is becoming a bit more progressive and making it a better place for everybody. Not just those that have always been in construction, but also attracting people that have come from different industries.
How quickly did you get over those misconceptions? Was it almost instantly?
I wouldn't say so. I think I needed to meet a lot of different people in different roles for me to realise really what kind of company I was joining and also the industry. I can't speak for the whole industry as a whole, but I'd say at United Living, I think people are very open to new things. I think meeting people that are based on site, meeting people that are in central services like myself, that's when my misconceptions started to be made aware to me that actually this is a really exciting industry to be in, whether you're working on site involved in construction based roles, or if you're in central services working in a finance team or people services or IT. And I think so it was an ongoing process, I think.
And for people, because there'll be people watching that might be, as I said, looking to delve into a new career, would probably say construction was the right thing for you, definitely at the moment. So for a person, they've just come out of uni or want to get into uni or degree apprenticeship, what advice would you give to them?
I had a lot of interviews before interviewing with United Living. I was actively looking for a placement at university, and I think one thing that I learned probably mostly at United Living at my assessment centre was really to embrace who I am. I had my CV and I had this picture of what an ideal candidate would be, but actually I think I'd speak for most companies, certainly United Living. They value who you really are. They don't want to see the perfect candidate, they want to see the real candidate in front of them. And I was almost a bit false in other interviews, perhaps, where I was thinking what the kind of person I wanted to be, but actually I needed to accept, my flaws and my development points, and also what my strengths are, and not who I wanted to be, but who I was. And I'd say that's, you need to remember that. We can talk about where we want to be in 5 years, but we need to embrace what natural strengths we have and also what areas that we'd like to improve on.
So if there was a student and he's coming in for an interview at United Living, what advice would you give to them? What, just the first things that they would say or something like that?
I think other than being yourself, I think it's really important to do your research. United Living has an interesting history. It's a fairly new company and a result of a merger between Bullock and United House. So any research in terms of some of the projects that United Living's done, I'd say that's really important. Even if you're not in a construction-based role, they really like that you've shown that kind of initiative and you've got an interest in the industry. Being prepared in terms of who you are, what strengths you can bring, and what you'd like to do in your role. And I think probably mostly just enjoy the day. I think, whether it's an assessment day or an interview, get to know the team, try and remember some faces and trying to build a rapport with whoever you're meeting, because I think that comes across really well. And I've sat in some interviews where I think the best impression is made when somebody's really comfortable and truly kind of building a good relationship with whoever's talking to them and whoever they meet on the day.
And finally, you're obviously in construction at the moment. Where would you want to further your career at United Living? What would be the next step for you in your career?
It's an interesting question. There isn't a real clear pathway where I am. I'm quite open in regards to whether I can if I want to do a rotation in a different area. Whether I want to stay in people services. Right now, I'm really loving my role. I love being within people services. It's been communicated that there's a lot of opportunities in terms of learning and development, and for me to progress within people services. I like the analytical aspects of my role. I didn't have much exposure to that through my degree, and I think from joining the company I've realised that actually that's where I'd like to pursue. So an analytical role within people services is probably where I see myself going, and I think I've got the support from the company to do that.
So Xavier, it's been a pleasure having you down and having a chat with you. Thank you for listening, and see you.